Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Chancho Shore? Graziano? Here. Holtzman?
Here.
Lemieux?
Here.
Lung?
Here.
Ray is excused, and Vogel here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank everybody for being here. I said this at the strategic planning launch, that I have really big feet, but I don't know if they're big enough to fill David's shoes. I'm going to try my best. So I hope you guys will extend me a little bit of grace. So we're going to start tonight with student and staff recognitions. Dr. Tucker.
Thank you, Vice President Vogel, Board of Directors, and our full house tonight. Good evening, everyone. We're awfully quiet. I mean, we're at capacity, right? I need to check with fire marshals to see if we're beyond capacity. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Very good, very good. We have a program tonight in which we're going to recognize some outstanding students and staff, which happens to be one of the most favorite thing, if you will, that I enjoy doing. But first, let's give our students who have this beautiful artwork out there at El Dorado High School, Elementary School and Shap High School. Let's give those students a round of applause. And some of their work, it might be for sale a little later on too. So we have some budding artists out there. So make sure you keep El Dorado Elementary and Shap High School in mind. Last Friday, the 20th, we had an opportunity to bring together over 6,000 of our colleagues to launch our strategic plan. And then the following week, we had the community launch, and it was an outstanding time. And it was an opportunity for us to discuss the district's roadmap for the next 5 years. So let's take a quick look at this. I don't know, the video is about ready to start. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video.
Surprised by how enthusiastic everyone was to be there together, and it was such a great environment to speak at.
This is the first time in more than a decade that all of DCSD has been gathered together under one roof.
I loved seeing the color-coded t-shirts and knowing those are teams of people and you really felt it.
With over 6,000 of the smartest, hardest working, and most inspiring people in the country.
You just see a big unity of people and everyone kind of coming together with the same purpose, but it also gives everyone their unique family that they kind of belong to.
Continue to stand if you've been in the district for 30 or more years.
I like that they're really focusing on kids and the staff. I like that they're including all of us.
The Douglas County School District is excited to share our new strategic plan.
To get all of us in a room together and kind of communicating that common vision, I think was important.
Just to be reminded again that we are a huge district and that we're all working together towards a common goal, and that's kids.
I'm grateful that the district has mental health and safety of kids like me as a #1 priority.
I love the fact that we now have a common goal, a common vision, because not only as an employee of the district am I going to benefit from that, but my kids are going to benefit and they're going to be prepared for the future.
I challenge each one of you, regardless of your role, to join us in ensuring Douglas County continues to be a thriving community now and in the future as we grow together.
Okay, your Douglas County School District growing together. So let's get on with recognizing a ton of students this evening. I'm so proud to state that the Douglas County School District has 4 schools named to the class of 2019 National Banner Unified Champion Schools by the Special Olympics. 14 schools in Colorado received this honor. And guess what? 4 of those schools are in your Douglas County School District. Let's give us a round of applause, sir. According to the Special Olympics, these schools have an inclusive school climate and exude a sense of collaboration, engagement, and respect for all members of the student body and staff. Would representatives from the following schools please come up front? Mesa Middle School, Principal Tony Jakowski. Chaparral High School, Principal Greg Gochi. Legend High School Principal Jason Jacobs. Wildcat Mountain Elementary Principal Molly Millie. So folks, before we take a quick picture, I'm going to pass the microphone around and tell us what this recognition means, but more importantly, what does it mean for your school community? Jason?
Well, first off, congratulations to everybody with this award. You know, I think when I think of the unified program and the kids that are involved with it, they're the heartbeat of our school. They bring our whole student body together, whether it's at assemblies, when the students are down in the lunchroom selling brownies, if it's walking through the hallways, those students are engaging with our student body and our staff, and they create our community at Legend High School. And I'm very thankful for you guys and all the work and all the student assistants as well. The time and effort that you put in with our kids is very, very special. And then also just all of the assistants and workers and leaders that work with our kids. It's amazing and it's beautiful, and I love you guys. So thanks.
So I guess one of the things that is so meaningful to us is that for the athletes, it's humbling to be around them. It's humbling to watch them. And it's inspiring the courage that they demonstrate each and every day, and particularly when they compete. They compete with the truest sense of the word of sportsmanship and fair play. And I'm so thankful for our faculty advisors. There's one right there. And the peer, and as Jason mentioned, our peer coaches that make it a special place at SHAP. So thanks to all of them, that they really do make this happen.
The Unified program really is who we are as a building, and it's part of our culture, where we work with everyone, accept everyone, and the relationships that have developed between our students as a result of this program is huge, and it speaks to just who we are as a building. And one of the people that led in this area is Mary Caricato, and she could not be here. She had an allergic reaction right before our faculty meeting, and I thought our faculty meetings were fun, apparently not. So she could not be here. A wonderful woman, along with Butch Bradley here, who really led the program and lead the program in our building. And just the connections we make with families and students are just phenomenal. So I thank them, and I thank Mr. Pritz as well for their support, and our EAs that also support the program. So thank you.
I am just so proud to represent a school who at the elementary level have really embraced the unified sports program through so many different aspects of our school, and have truly created an idea and vision of inclusion in our school, whether it's from redshirt rookies to now our new student leadership team of inclusion, and just what we try to do every single day to make our students, all of our students, feel valued. And I look out into this crowd and I get a little choked up because I just see just tremendous families and students and staff that have made all of this possible. And a huge thank you to Rose Martinez and Joy Whithelm, Beth Anderson. They kicked this off, our entire special education program. Jordan Stellick, I want to say everybody's name in the entire crowd, but I don't know how long you love to stay here for your meetings, but But it takes a village, and I think our unified program has really made that happen, and I'm just so grateful and blessed to be a part of it. So thank you to all of our families and staff and students.
He says, oh no. Okay, we do have a representative from Special Olympics. Please come on down. Yes. Okay. Frida, would you like to make any comments on behalf of Special Olympics outreach?
I didn't prepare a speech, but here we go. The Special Olympics Unified Champion Program is aimed at promoting inclusion through intentionally planned and implemented activities affecting systems-wide change. With sports at the foundation, these three-component models offer a unique combination of effective activities that equip young people with tools and training to create sports, classroom, and school climates of acceptance. These are school climates where students with disabilities feel welcome and are routinely included and feel part of all activities, opportunities, and functions. That's the last I'm reading of this. I just want to tell all of you, okay, get off. I just want to tell all of you here today, all the schools, how much it means to Special Olympics Colorado to have all your support with all the inclusion that you provide. It's very important. And parents, thank you as well for being supportive of all of your kids and getting them on board, and from the Unified Partners to the Special Olympic athletes. And you teachers, we sure appreciate you for implementing this. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Yeah, Frida. Yeah. If you would come join in, we're going to take a quick picture. While we're getting set up to take a picture, let's give our athletes, staff, and of course our parents a round of applause. Stacey. Oh, sure. Okay, before we wrap up with our Special Olympians, we do have a banner here, and we're going to ask the students to come up, right? Okay. Richard. Okay, switching gears now, let's recognize Douglas County School District students who have been recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Program. How's it going, National Merit Scholars? Doing good? Getting a lot of studying in? Okay. Good. I'm proud to announce on behalf of the Board of Education that this year, Douglas County School District has 29 National Merit semifinalists, and that's a yes. I believe that's a 3-year high. I know Matt Reynolds will fact check me if I'm off. I'm good. Matt says I'm good. Okay, these students are part of an elite group representing less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors. These academically talented students advance in the competition, which awards 7,600 National Merit Scholarships worth more than $31 million. With the principals and National Merit semifinalists from the following schools, please join me up front. Douglas County High School, Tony Kappas. The Douglas County High School. Legend High School, Principal Jason Jacob. Highlands Ranch High School, Principal Dr. Chris Page. Mountain Vista High School, Principal Michael Weaver. Ponderosa High School, Assistant Principal Jared Nicholson. Rock Canyon High School, Assistant Principal Megan Brown. Skyview Academy, Principal Brian Chastain, Linda August, and John L. STEM Schools Highlands Ranch, Principal Leanne Wayman. And Thunder Ridge High School, Administrative Dean Marshawn Uhas. I promise you, we're going to fit you in, I promise you. So we're going to begin with the principals to make a few comments, and if any of your scholars here, I know they're ready to get home and get back to studying, but if any of them wish to make a few comments, please do so. Tony?
Well, congratulations to all of you. What an amazing feat. I'm blessed to be part of these two people's lives. Two amazing individuals. Their GPA is far surpassed any of, at least maybe the principals in here. What makes these two special, at least at Douglas County High School, is not only are they strong in their academics, but they're also very strong in their activities. And I want them to tell, I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm going to ask them to tell you a little bit about what makes them so special. You're a nonprofit.
So as a part of the IB program, we have to do a CAS project. And so for our CAS project, we decided to start a nonprofit. What we do is buy bracelets from women in India, and we sell them to benefit girls' education in rural parts of India.
All right, I have the honor, or have had the honor for the past 3 years of performing with the district's Continental League Honor Orchestra, and I'm just as proud of that, if not more, than I am of this award.
Congratulations to everybody once again. This is Rachel Absher, and she is, just like all of you guys, a phenomenal student and works very, very hard. She's involved in our National Honor Society, Math Honor Society, Link Crew, and is a part of DECA. So Rachel, you do an amazing job. Congratulations with this. Now we just got to get to the finalist round, and then who knows comes after that, right? So no pressure. Yeah, no pressure. Okay. So I want Rachel to maybe just kind of share a little bit, like just what she loves about Legend.
I really love all the teachers at Legend. I've had so many amazing teachers that have supported me and encouraged me to do so much more than I ever thought possible of myself. So thank you to them.
Michael Weaver, Principal, Mountain Vista High School. We're fortunate to should have 5 semifinalists. Trevor is representing that group, and you know, I think the thing that sometimes gets missed as these kids get awards like this is the foundation of academic excellence. And these kids are not only getting this award based on the testing scores and the things that they've done with PSAT, but they have 8 to 12 to 15 AP courses each. They have GPAs that, like Tony said, just blow us away. And academically, they are superhuman. They're freaks of nature, and we love having them. And sometimes they don't get the newspaper headlines. Sometimes they're not where the sports prep rally on Sunday mornings out filming. But this is the foundation right here. So I'll have Trevor talk a little bit about his experience at Vista and some of the things he's excelled at. He's become a regular in the front row here at the board meetings. So.
Yeah, so like Mr. Weaver said, I've been over here for Technology Student Association before. I'm involved in Science National Honor Society, as long as National Honor Society. And like Mr. Weaver said, we have a great foundation at Vista among the teachers, the coaches, and obviously I'd like to thank my parents for this. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you, parents.
Good evening. My name is Jared Nicholson, representing Ponderosa High School. We are honored to have 2 National Merit semifinalists. Our first one was Thomas Starr. He unfortunately had to get out of here a little bit early for a soccer game over at DC, but we wanted to make sure we recognized him. Our second is Kayla Fairweather, and truly these 2 students just embody everything that we want our students to represent at Ponderosa. They're involved in countless extracurricular activities, athletics, and they're just phenomenal kids and phenomenal young adults. And so we're so proud of them. Kayla's had a busy week this week. Yesterday she was named our Rotary Student of the Month, and on Friday night she was named our Homecoming Queen. And so she's been pretty busy. So I'm going to turn it over to our Homecoming Queen.
Thanks. Yeah, so I've had the privilege of having both those experiences and also running cross country and track at Pondo, and I think the community through that has probably been one of the greatest things I could have gotten out of my high school experience. So.
Hi, I'm Megan Brown. I'm an assistant principal at Rock Canyon, representing these 6 awesome students and the 4 that couldn't be here tonight. First, I'd like to thank your parents. I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to work with these students every day, and thank your parents for sending you to us. And on behalf of the entire Rock Canyon community, we know it does take a village, and so we want to just express how proud we are of you, how proud and excited and grateful we are that all of the work you do in and out of the classroom is resulting in all of these very well-deserved accolades. So I'll let all of these 6 kind of share with you all of the diverse things that they do at Rock Canyon and for Rock Canyon.
And I also want to say it reflects not only the hard work we've put in, but also the great community we have with our family, our peers, and our dedicated teachers who all support each other. At school, I'm in a few different clubs, TSA, FBLA, Speech and Debate, and I'm also part of the Student Advisory Group.
I'm Sage. I'm not that great at public speaking, but big Rock Canyon fan, and I would just like to say, go Jags.
I'm going to have to stick with Sage on that one. I'm not a huge public speaker, but thanks to all of our teachers, we all got to where we are now. So, yeah.
My name is Vivian, and I'm at Rock Canyon. I'm mostly involved in speech and debate and also have done Link Crew, and that's probably one of my favorite activities because you get to see like the Rock Canyon community and just how we all work together.
I'm Vian. At Rock Canyon, I participate in extracurriculars such as TSA, and a friend of mine and I co-founded the National Science Bowl Club at our school 2 years ago, and we've competed in regionals now 3 times, which is something that I'm really proud of. And I'm also a huge school spirit guy, if you know anything about me, and I couldn't say it any better than Sage did. Go Jags.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Derek. A few things to do at school. I run cross country. I'm a varsity captain. Also in the chamber orchestra at my school. I love both to death. Again, I have great staff, great coaches to support me. My parents, my family, the community. I was recently in Man Palms, so again, big school spirit guy. So just go Jags. Thank you.
I'm John Ale from Skyview Academy, and we are honored to have two National Merit semifinalists. Miss Rachel Bigler could not be with us this evening, but Mr. Anand Chundi is standing here by my side. This is really an honor for me, I gotta say, because I had this guy in my math class years ago, and I've had the privilege of watching him over the last 4 years excel in his classes and in student leadership. You're really not only one of the smartest people I know, but one of the kindest and nicest people I've ever met. So I'm honored to be here with you today.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank my parents and all of my teachers at Skyview for creating an environment where I've really been able to thrive. Some of the extracurriculars I'm involved in is I'm in the student council. I'm also a peer tutor, so I've been tutoring other students in the STEM subjects, and I've also had heavy participation in the science fairs. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Marshawn Uhas from Thunder Ridge High School. We are so fortunate to have 3 National Merit Scholars. We've got Brady and Reed here, and also Melanie Zhao could not be with us tonight because she has her IB Theory of Knowledge class. But one of the reasons we're so excited to celebrate these students is, yes, they are excellent students with their academics, but they're also just really good people. Brady will be playing baseball for Texas Tech. Reed is a swimmer and is going to pursue a career in medicine, and Melanie is going to change the world by continuing her work with the OASIS program. So both of my finalists here have elected for me to speak with them, for them. But I just want to tell you that we're really proud of you, and you make the Grizzly family incredibly proud. Thank you.
We also have one National Merit semifinalist from STEM, so let's give Grace a round of applause as well. Grace is not here. Highlands Ranch, Highlands Ranch.
Highlands Ranch. Thanks, everybody. I'm Dr. Chris Page from the Highlands Ranch High School. I'm here. We have 2.5 semifinalists, and what I mean by that is we have Devin here and we also have Sophie here, but Isaac, we sent him off to Florida to help out with their test scores, so he's moved there, he's gone, but we're still going to claim him, right, because we helped get him where he needed to be, but overall, and I think I speak for all the adults in the room, you guys are all amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for all that you do. And definitely for you two, you do a fantastic job of representing the 3 A's, right? Academics, athletics, activities, the whole combination of a great kid. And you've just done a fantastic job representing the Highlands Ranch community. So thank you guys very much.
I'm Devin. I'm probably the least interesting person up here. I'm part of a few honor societies and FBLA, which is the business club at my school. And that's about it.
Similar to Devin, I'm involved in a lot of the honor societies at Ranch, as well as I'm part of our Student Senate program and Link Crew. And I've founded a youth anti-vaping campaign to help combat that issue in our school. And I can dance competitively outside of school. But I bleed the blue and black of Highlands Ranch High School.
Okay, before we give these well-rounded scholars one last round of applause, let's recognize parents, teachers, and support staff. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, Stacy's going to somehow get a picture in for everyone, and then we'll wrap up the ceremony. Thunder Ridge, yeah, they did. They're good. They're good. Their teacher spoke on behalf of them, yes. Okay.
All right, we're going to have to really squeeze in, pretend.
Come on, let's squeeze in. We're one big family.
We might need a few people to just kind of squat
Okay, this concludes our student and staff recognition. We'll turn it back over to the board.
Okay, thank you. Our next agenda item is the acceptance of agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to move.
Second. Moved by Lung and seconded by Lemieux. Well, now vote. Chancellor Shore.
Aye.
Graziano.
Aye.
Holtzman.
Aye.
Lemieux.
Aye.
Lung.
Aye.
Vogel, aye. Okay, I forgot I got to keep my mic on. Up next on our agenda is our public comment time. We're going to start with our student comment. Come on up, Jay. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having me. At the strategic launch, it was really great to see so much unity in our district and all the teachers coming together to support ultimately us students. SAG is really excited about the strategic plan and how it's included so many different voices, such as teachers, parents, and staffs, and how it encompasses a lot of different things that are essential for our students' success. I'm really excited to see how the district moves forward in these next few years. For the strategic theme of supporting students' health, safety, and socially and emotionally, SAG obviously feels that's very important. In the current climate, we feel like school safety and supporting students socially and emotionally for their mental health are especially important, and we're glad they're being focused on. We also want to note that protecting students' health with things like making sure they have proper nutrition, making sure they're getting enough sleep, and that they're doing all of these things they need to keep their bodies healthy are especially important, because a lot of times that falls through the cracks at high school, and a lot of students don't build these habits now and they never get a chance to later in life. So we also want to make sure that's something that we continue to focus on, because when students' physical health suffers, it often leads to their mental health and the other parts of their life suffering as well. At the last SAG meeting, we chose which topics we'll be focusing on for the coming school year: school safety, mental health, real-world oriented classes, and making schools more eco-friendly. We also might focus on school and district finances. Are there any questions?
Well, great job, on behalf of the Polyasians. Thank you very much for your wonderful work. And do you have any people at the back that is representing the student advisory groups? Please ask them to stand up, so I want to recognize them also.
I don't think we have any tonight.
Oh, okay, well, you're great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chauhan,
Thank
President
you.
of the Student Advisory Group. Okay, up next is public comment. And I'm going to read a statement before I start calling up our commenters tonight. The board values hearing diverse viewpoints from a broad spectrum of citizens throughout our community, especially those regarding items listed on tonight's agenda. 2 policies guide how public comment to the board is received: Board Policy KE, Public Complaints, and Board Policy BEDH, Public Participation at Board Meetings. Policy KE outlines the process for responding to grievances and complaints as close to the origin of concern as possible. Therefore, we encourage the proper channeling of concerns. For example, concerns that involve a child should begin with the teacher, then the building administrator, then the director of schools, assistant superintendent, and superintendent before appealing to the Board of Education. A similar process is used should there be concerns regarding a specific board member. The first step is to contact and discuss the concern with the individual board member. If no resolution is met, then contact President Ray or myself. If still not satisfactorily resolved, then it is appropriate to request addressing the entire board. The board would like for all discourse that occurs in this room to occur in an atmosphere of mutual respect. Everyone in this room plays an important part in modeling appropriate behavior and promoting a climate of mutual respect. To maintain this decorum of mutual respect, I would ask that speakers refrain from using individual names in an offensive manner, as this only distracts from the issue of concern. Each speaker will be allotted up to 3 minutes to address the board. Please know that this is our time to just listen, and therefore an immediate response is usually not given. However, we will take your concerns seriously and typically follow up with one or more of the following actions: getting your questions answered or concerns addressed either by Board Secretary Holtzman or an appropriate staff person, reflecting on your concern during the agenda item which was referenced, addressing the topic of concern at a future board meeting. I will call both the speaker and the next person to speak so that you both can come forward. When you speak, please state the specific agenda item for which you signed up to address and your name as well. And then if you are not speaking to a specific agenda item, please frame your comments as a suggestion for the board to consider on a future agenda. So up first, we have Mark Porter and Sarah Porter. Please come forward.
I'm Mark Porter here from Castle Rock. Here again to request an update to the federally illegal policy, JLCDB, that this board is perfectly happy with. This is our only avenue to speak, inform, and educate because you all will not talk, meet with us, or any kind of work session to discuss the policy change. This board still hides behind federal law as to why it will not update the current policy. That, let me remind you, is federally illegal. We are not asking you to change the federally illegal part of the current policy, as THC is allowed under current policy, which makes the policy federally illegal. We are asking that the person who gives it to be changed, which has no federal implications. Quinton's amendment to Jack's Law gives you all the ability to do just that, but you won't. Federal law does not care who is giving the medicine or if it is only on school grounds for a minute or 24 hours. That's like me telling the police officer here, pulled me over for speeding, that I only did it for a minute, so I'm not really breaking the law. I'm sure he will get a kick out of that excuse while he handed me a ticket. Hiding behind the federal law is laughable, ignorant, and hypocritical, to say the least. How much federal funding has been lost by Colorado or this district? 0. Why? There's a Rohrabacher Farr amendment, but I am sure that your expert legal team has already advised this board of this, as I know this info was passed to you throughout the past 14 plus months that we've been asking for this change. Clear Creek County here in Colorado is currently changing their policy, yes, THC included. And why wouldn't it be, as it is included in the current policy, just like here in Douglas County? Their board had a request, had professionals including our very own Amber Wan, to discuss, inform, and educate so they could make a policy change that was effective. A far cry from the eye rolls, head shakes that we get. We get a lot of all kids matter. Let me remind you, the term all is inclusive to everyone. We even get it takes a village to raise a child, but I guess this doesn't include my child in that village. Are our educators and staff not part of that village? This board stated that the policy change would put too much responsibility on teachers and staff to administer medicine to my daughter. Really? Let them make that choice. I had no issues finding 3 teachers and 1 administrator at my daughter's school that would gladly volunteer if they were allowed. Not one felt it was too much responsibility when I asked them, and one even has answered they feel it is their responsibility to help. And not only did they say that, they said that they would be honored to help. So with that being said, it's time to update the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Up next, Ms. Porter, and then Brad Wan.
Here we are again, requesting an update to the JLCDB policy, medical cannabis policy. There is a major conflict here between Douglas County School District policies and Marley and Ben, their right to have a safe environment and a free, appropriate public education. It has been confirmed that nowhere in the Colorado Nurse Practice Act does it say that nurses cannot handle medical cannabis, nor does it say that nurses cannot handle non-FDA approved drugs. So if the school district claims to abide by the Colorado Nurse Practice Act, the conflict is in your own policy, and it is this board's job to amend the policy JLCDB so these children can attend public school and have equal access to their cannabis medicine. State law sets the powers and duties of the Board of Education. It is responsible for educational planning and evaluation, staffing and appraisal, school facilities, financial resources, and communication. The board acts as a court of appeal for staff members, students, and the public on issues involving board policy or implementation of that policy. We have been asking for this. What we have been asking for is totally in accordance with all laws. As parents, we are being stripped of our basic constitutional rights, and you are not giving us any recourse against this board's non-action. The more information given to you, the more our requests get shut down and continuously ignored. Every one of you knows that this is the only means that we have is to continue to come and make public comment, to beg you and call out your shameful behavior towards Marley and Ben and other students like them. Our neighbors in Clear Creek County have decided to stand up for all students and allow staff to administer cannabis medication to qualifying students. And yes, that includes THC. We have mentioned Washington, D.C. schools crafted a policy for a single student in a matter of days and had that policy implemented and ready to go. Our families have been requesting this policy change for over 14 months now. We have proven that this can be done. Cannabis medicine is being administered currently in schools, will be administered in schools in the future. So why are there still excuses in telling us no? What are your excuses going to be to not meet with us and speak to us now?
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Amber Wan, is Brad not here? Okay, thank you.
Hello, board directors and administration. Just want to inform you all, as you've probably seen some emails, in regards to my attendance at the Clear Creek County work session that they have. They actually invited me with families that were there. Just wanted to kind of tell a little bit about that. There's a family there, a single mom, as a matter of fact, who moved here from another state, has a son with autism and Prader-Willi syndrome, and he uses cannabis for medicine. She is a single mom, has to work. She cannot get there to give him his afternoon dose of medicine. We met with them on September 12th. They were very welcoming, very accommodating. We had a nice conversation back and forth and a meeting with professionals that really wanted to learn a lot about everything that I've shared with you all. They took it in. They took it to their legal. Their nurse was in the room. Their nurse said, I have no problem with staff administering medical cannabis. She said, I won't, because she didn't learn how to. But she didn't know about the 6 principles of essential knowledge that is part of the national council that she's under. So anyway, it's a learning curve. And all we're wanting to do is just educate you. I mean, we've got candidates in the community that don't even want to meet with our families because they don't want to be educated. I find that pretty alarming, honestly. But to go to a school board where they are willing to accommodate this student and this mother and listen to all of the information, and within 28 days of the request, they are passing their policy on October 10th. And their first readings was unanimous. And so there's no reason why you guys are doing this to us unless it's personal. And I do feel that it's political. I do feel it's personal. People won't replay back to, emails and whatnot. It's political. And so, I visited Marley last week in the hospital. We have someone in the community that said, "Oh, you and the Wan family, you guys conjured this up, that you guys just, met and decided that you were just going to storm the school board and do this whole pony show." We didn't meet until we came here that first night, 14 months ago, to ask for this. We have become friends through this process, and I visited a little girl in the hospital that has missed school a lot this year, who needs her cannabis medication, and she was having a procedure done with the nurse there, and she was crying, and I just wanted to cry out, and I just wish that you guys could see this little girl suffering for one moment, because your hearts might change. Ben is 18 now, and yeah, I'm still speaking for him. He has special needs, but he does not want to be homeschooled. And people in this community asking us to homeschool him is wrong. He wants to be at school, and we are asking you to update the policy to accommodate him. These kids have limitations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wan. Up next is Drew Alborg and Tom Alborg.
Hi, my name is Drew Alborg, and I'm the Executive Director of the Bullying Recovery Resource Center. We're a 501c3 that advocates for bullied and harassed children and helps in rebuilding lives. Tonight, I'm here presenting on behalf of over 20 families, spanning across 3 high schools and 4 girls' athletic programs. These families are represented behind me, and I ask that they stand up. We're all wearing white tonight to represent the innocence in children, innocence that you as a board are responsible for protecting in this district. I will note that these families came together completely by chance. The individuals from the respective schools did not know one another until July, when one group happened to become aware of a similar concern that was presented to this board earlier this year. Each of the families behind me has a story of bullying, harassment, retaliation, discrimination, and many other wrongdoings as a result of their daughter's participation in DCSD athletic programs. What is even more concerning in their stories is that these girls are victims of this treatment by coaches and administrators within the district. Their experiences in these programs include IEP and 504 violations, targeted bullying of individual girls within the program, retaliation by administration for voicing concerns about their coaches, inappropriate conversations from coaches ranging from sexual conversations to the coach's personal mental health issues, corporal punishment and physical abuse, pulling of ponytails, making injured athletes run drills while they play while injured, and punitive excessive exercise and physical drills like running stairs, running 17s, manipulation of players' self-esteem by building up their confidence and then setting them up to fail. The administration's failure to address student-on-student bullying, which appears to be retaliation against the families for taking their complaints to the district. And the administration's public humiliation and bad-mouthing of the girls who spoke up against their coach. This list can go on and on.
Thank you, Ms. Alborg. Mr. Alborg.
My name is Tom Alborg, and I am the Director of Advocacy for the Bullying Recovery Resource Center. I'm here to further explain the injustice that has happened to these girls and their families. The district's unwillingness to address their concerns as they have escalated them through the district process has re-victimized these girls. District leadership has made it blatantly clear that it will continue to protect the coaches and administrators in these situations and merely uphold the site-based decisions made at the school, regardless of how wrong that decision was. The district appears to have a systemic problem with how it handles these complaints. The district uses its own site and district administrators to conduct these investigations into the program. This is inappropriate and biased. Two examples are one high school administrator withheld relevant information from the investigators and persons making the decisions on the investigation. Another investigator told the girls before the interview that they were not going to bash the coach, as he was really a good guy. Parents are submitting Cora requests and they've been stonewalled. 4 examples are: parents from one program are still following up on an incomplete responses to a Cora request submitted in July. Documents from the Cora request appear to show that they have been recently created in order to respond to Cora requests, when these documents should already exist. Parents of another program have 2 Cora requests that are in violation of Cora timing, and another Cora request that the district has inappropriately denied access to. And lastly, details have been redacted from Cora responses beyond the scope of what is appropriate. District leadership appears to be refusing to meet with some of these parents who have followed district's defined process. One of our 4 programs has requested a meeting with Dr. Tucker 3 times with no response. Mr. Ray has been included in those requests and also has not responded. As of today, Dr. Tucker has canceled a meeting with one of these programs that was scheduled for Friday. The district also appears to have manipulated individuals who are not aware of their rights in order to shut the complaints down and leave them with little hope of resolution. In summary, we are all here tonight appealing to you, the Board of Education, to intervene and uphold your duty in protecting the students in this district. These families ask that you contact me to set up meetings to discuss how this should proceed, to review the very substantial problems with the investigations and find resolution. You have forced these over 20 families to continue elevating their complaints, and we assure you that we will continue to seek resolution for these girls.
Thank you, Mr. Alborg. And this concludes our public comment time. Up next on the agenda is the adoption of consent agenda. There are 2 items: new membership for the Mill and Bond Oversight Committee and personnel changes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda, approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Holtzman, second by Graziano. Now we'll vote. Chancho Shore.
Aye.
Graziano.
Aye.
Holtzman.
Aye.
Lemieux.
Aye.
Lung.
Aye.
And Vogel, aye. And then up next is adoption of the joint motion agenda, unofficial minutes. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Graziano, second by Holtzman. Chancho Shore.
Aye.
Graziano.
Aye.
Holtzman.
Aye.
Lemieux.
Aye.
Lung.
Aye.
And Vogel, aye. Up next, we have superintendent reports. Dr. Tucker.
Thank you, Director Vogel, other directors, and our folks who are still here. First, I want to again reiterate some compliments that you've heard regarding the strategic plan launch for both staff as well as for the community. And that's just the beginning. It is not the end. The exciting work starts now as we put action teams together to start rolling out this plan. This plan will not be official, will not officially start, although some things have been in place for the last year or so, but will not officially commence until the next school year, the 2021 school year. Also, I want to really thank staff and students, and certainly Stacey Rader's department in their work with Parent University to grapple with some of the things that are really plaguing not only our community, but communities across the country as it relates to students, particularly with vaping. It was nice to hear the young lady from Highlands Ranch High School to start an anti-vaping campaign, and that's certainly
one of the things that we need to tackle. The last thing that I want to talk about, and I won't go into great detail, we take our students, our students' emotional and physical health very seriously. And what I mean by we, I mean the board. I take it very seriously. Our teachers, our staff. Whenever we have a large group of parents who have a complaint and we're hearing it across the district, we listen to what our administrators have done. We listen to all the whole investigative process. But we also look at having an outside person. So I don't want to deflect from what the speaker said, but he's absolutely wrong. When we have situations like this, we bring in outside folks. And so we will have folks from the outside looking at issues that parents do bring to us. So it's an incorrect statement to say we do all of our investigations seriously, whether we're investigating a student issue or staff issue. If it rises to the occasion where we need to bring in an outside investigator, we will do that. And in this case here, we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tucker. Up next is, yes, Director Lemieux.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I noticed in our agenda, you were going to discuss beginning the site focus group to launch a survey designed to gather feedback regarding the site evaluation rubrics. Can I get,
Yes.
is that coming up?
No, that's part of his report.
Oh, okay, I thought he was finished with his report. Or is somebody else going to do that? Did I miss something?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about growing together, and then I'll come back and talk about that as well.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay, so next is our study work session, and we have growing together our strategic theme number 1, health, safety, and social emotional supports for students. And I believe we have Nancy Ingalls and Stephanie Crawford and Danelle Hyatt. Is there anybody else we need to introduce that's coming?
Good evening, and thank you so much. We will have other team members that Dr. Crawford and Mrs. Hyatt will introduce. Thank you so much. I'm very proud to have Dr. Crawford and Mrs. Hyatt come and report on the strategic theme of health, safety, and social emotional supports for students. They have led some committee work throughout the entire summer and fall, articulating objectives and initiatives for this theme that they will speak to you about in detail. So I'm happy to turn it over to them.
Good evening, directors. Thank you for having us, and we are looking forward to the opportunity to go over our first strategic theme in the plan, and that's health, safety, and social emotional supports for students. I think that you all recognize what our strategic themes are in the plan, and so we're focusing in on the first one this evening. And as part of the work that we had the privilege of leading, we worked with a team of people, and I'm going to go there first and introduce this critical team of people that worked together throughout the summer to develop what our objectives were under this theme, as well as our strategic initiatives. So if we could have the following people stand. Lisa Cantor, she is our Director of Health, Wellness, and Prevention. Zach Hess, who's also our Director of Health, Wellness, and Prevention. Jamie Montoya de Smith, he's our Coordinator of Prevention. Aaron Reagan, he's our Lead Counselor. Keith Souza, he's our Lead Behavior Specialist. He wasn't able to be here this evening. David Marty, he's our Security Manager and School Relations. And then Derek Fleshman, Principal of DC Oaks. So we spent several hours together over the summer and really delved into the work around this particular theme. We looked at research. We looked at our data based on what had been presented in a variety of different data sources. And we collaboratively developed kind of what we felt was leading our district forward with the objectives and initiative within this theme. I want to talk just a little bit about what our strategic initiatives are meant to be. What can we do, or what can we impact the system with sustained change over time versus episodic events or activities. You won't see that within our strategic initiatives. Our initiatives are meant to be targeted and observable, and they will create changes in our district, our schools, our staff behavior. And our strategic initiatives are not reliant upon specific externally marketed products either. You will see that enabling processes, things like professional development and training, budget resources, et cetera, they aren't as a strategic initiative, but they are part of the work groups that will be a part of the actual action planning for the initiative work, okay? So with that, our first objective that we created collaboratively as a group was to enhance the physical and psychological safety and security for our students. We have 2 strategic initiatives that are tied to this particular objective. Our first strategic initiative is partnering with city, county, state, and federal stakeholders on meeting new and ongoing identified safety enhancements. And then our second initiative in this particular objective is enhancing our safety procedures through partnerships with our students, parents, and staff. So the critical component of the initiative work in this area is around collaboration. And so Stephanie is going to talk a little bit more specifically around what that looks like.
Yes, so as part of our collaboration, we want to make sure we're partnering with everyone in our community. And we have some great examples of work that's starting already. So we have a youth crisis response team that we're looking to have in our schools, which will be a wonderful collaboration with the county, fire, EMS, and the police departments. So that is really exciting. We also want to collaborate with law enforcement as well, and emergency services for a Handle with Care program to bring into the schools, so that when kids have something happening at night, we know how to treat them well and care for them the next morning at school. And then we're really excited about other collaborations with our county partners. There are some prevention programs in the realm of safety as well that are starting to come off the ground, and we can't wait to be a part of those as well. And we're going to continue to look for other partnerships and other programs that we can do with our stakeholders. So that's an example of that area.
Okay. Our second objective in this theme is to increase physical, social, emotional, behavioral, and mental health competency through prevention and intervention efforts. Based on a variety of different data sources that we looked at, we definitely saw from staff perspective to our parent community's perspective and input that we really need to enhance systemically what we are doing around prevention and intervention. And so our first strategic initiative in this area is to ensure a consistent implementation of a multi-tiered system of supports framework to include implementation of comprehensive social emotional learning, trauma-informed practices, and restorative practices. Again, looking through both the prevention and intervention realm with these critical practices within a framework. And then our second initiative within prevention and intervention efforts is developing a comprehensive system that unifies our district resources, communications, our procedures, and supports to address student health and wellness. Based on all of the feedback that was collected through the strategic planning process, one of the things that we really delved into is what can we do as a system to really unify our communication, our access to resources for students, for staff, and for parents. So Stephanie will talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, as part of this work, we're really excited to continue along with our emotional work in the district. We already have started working with anxiety as a component. And all of these, we want to train everyone, from every staff member about trauma-informed care, about how to work with anxiety, how to help students who are having anxiety. We want to help them know about restorative practices and how that can be incorporated into your everyday classroom practice. And so we're very excited to be able to start diving in deeper into this work and making sure this is a reality universally for all of our students. And then as we go up the continuum, we'll have universal skills every student needs to have, and then we'll have students who need a little more intervention. And so we'll work with them at those levels as well, giving each student exactly what they need and meeting them where they're at. So we're excited about that work.
And finally, our third objective under the work of this theme is to establish an inclusive culture to ensure that all students feel safe and valued. And we have one strategic initiative that is under this particular objective, and that is to increase and embed learning opportunities and experiences that involve inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And those learning experiences would be through the lens of both staff and for students.
So again, like all of our other initiatives, this is something that isn't just one area, one time that we want to address. This is something that needs to be embedded in everything we do every day. And when we talk about diversity, we mean diversity of all kinds, from culture to what students want to do once they leave our district, to students that have disabilities, and really making sure we are responsive to all of their needs.
So we had the opportunity to highlight the objectives and the strategic initiatives at our last district leadership team meeting for all of our district leaders as well as our assistant principals and deans. And now we're starting to kind of delve into the actual action planning, the actual how we're going to do this work, which is another set of team of people that are working collaboratively to kind of outline what are our next steps and how will this be implemented within the system.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I love that what I'm hearing really is about the culture of our school district, and that the things that you talked about are things that we as a board have talked about being really important. And it really does come down to that culture in the school district. And one of the things that made me think of is we have the opportunity to do, this is an example of what you just talked about. We have the opportunity to do some read alouds for Literacy Month, and it was really cool. I went for the training yesterday, and all the books were about belonging and inclusivity, and I love that it's all kind of coming together for us. So thank you for that. Directors, anybody have any questions? Director Graziano.
Well, thanks for that. I really appreciate that. I guess my question is, as you begin this process and you've got a foundation, and then now you're looking at action plans, I guess as part of that, as you look at action plans, are you going to be also building in there ways you can evaluate what you're doing and monitoring that, so when we come back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you'll be able to say, green light here, or maybe yellow light here, and here's what we need to work on. I'm just curious to understand how that's going to be tracked, because I know you've got 7 interested folks up here and the whole community that'll be interested in this.
So we knew this question was coming because we're talking about the house. So part of the action planning that the teams are engaging in with the support of our partner Greenway Strategy Group is that very question. How do we monitor? How do we gather feedback ongoing from all stakeholders involved, not only once the action plans are complete, but as they are being developed? So if there are certain groups that we need to ask and get feedback from, we're able to do that. So that's why it's really important that Greenway is still part of this process for this first round, so we can know that roadmap and we can fine tune that process. So we will be back. I will be back Once we have all of those action items completed, they're not scheduled to be completed until around the 1st or the beginning of November. And so then we'll be back to share exactly what are the details of those action plans for each initiative.
And I can just add to that, as we're starting the work, we're doing everything with intentionality. And so we're looking at, as we develop these ideas of what will success look like if we're able to succeed at this, not just describing it, but what will outcome measures be so that we can give real good data into that. We did this and it's been successful and it's working. So that's what we're looking at from the very beginning of all of our planning.
I guess I have a question. Is that part of like if you could dream up what you think the best success would look like, is that something that you look at it through those lenses? I mean, what's the best case scenario?
What's best? Absolutely. We always start with what is the best that can happen instead of from a negative view of either what has happened or what's the worst that can happen. So when we look at what are going to be the components of each of the action plans, they're looking at what are best practices, what's research-based too, what's evidence-based, and then how do we measure that?
Director Lung, did you have anything?
Yes. Hey, thank you very much. This is a great initiative. So I'm trying to, as a board member, looking at the big picture. Will we be presented a delta to compare the current practice and what you decided we are going to change in the future? So I myself will know more about what is the difference between now and in the future.
So all that will be included when we present what the action teams have come up with. I can't share that right now because they're still in the middle of that work, but it will consist of what is current state, what is desired state, as well as what are budgetary items that are needed. Is it people? Is it programs? Whatever that might be. Their action teams are considering all of those pieces. So each of the 10 initiatives for this phase 1, they're all going through that same process, and so they'll all have different pieces that they might need or looking at what we currently have in district. So that's why this plan actually doesn't start until 2020, 2021, because the budget is already accounted for this current school year. But that's not to say that we're not going to do certain things right now, or we're not currently doing certain things right now in this process.
So I'm looking at the slide on number 4. So it looks like we have a wonderful group of people that's looking into that, but they seems to be a little bit top-heavy. Will this, when you're doing these deliberations and figure out what's the best way to change, will the employee council being consulted on this new practice before they present to the board?
Are you speaking to the final theme? So this right here, this is one team that came up with what you see right now, what's in our framework and all those pieces. There are additional teams that are even more diverse. That includes school leadership, includes teachers, if that's what it is, and counselors, depending on the initiative. So they're reflective of what is being discussed and needs to be decided so we can have who we need at the table. But even then, as I said before, part of this process is going back to those different stakeholders that each of those initiatives might affect, right? So when we look at, you mentioned employee council, I see that primarily being in the initiative, which we're not talking about that tonight, but in the last theme around recruit, retention, development. Why would they not be a part of that, right? So they're not the core team, but again, that would be a logical stakeholder group that as that team is working through, if they need to meet with those, the employee council, they absolutely can. But that's not to say the other initiative work wouldn't include employee council per se, but they're doing that work right now. So Greenway has given us guidance into their process, and I don't think you guys have been disappointed so far with what that process has looked like. So we're gonna trust the process, and we will be back to give you more detailed updates.
So I just want to make sure that when people looking at slides number 4, does not really means that those are the only people being consulted. A larger groups of staff and teacher will be included, and maybe the employee council, and there will be some real discussions among those different stakeholders before we will finalize something and present to the board. So am I pretty much summarize of what the process will be?
Dr. Tucker?
Yes, Director Long, your point is well taken, and I understand where Marlene is going. What she's saying is these are the initial team members. These groups here, if you look there, these are, all of our folks work year-round. These are 12-month contract folks. These folks are on this team because work will go on during the summer. Many of our teachers and classified and certified folks are not all on 12-month contracts, so these groups will continue to meet. But as we begin to fan out those groups, whether they're part of employee council or classroom teachers or part of our great support staff, will be part of these groups adding input. I mean, they're certainly going to lend input to, I mean, all 6 of the themes are very important, but this theme here is what we're dealing with right now: health, safety, and social, emotional support of students. So you will, your question is, will we get input from folks in buildings and departments? The answer is yes.
Okay. Director Holtzman?
So I was just going to ask specifically about Initiative 1A, which I know is an initiative that is, I think, in our first phase because we've already been doing some work in this area. And thank you guys so much because I know I'm looking at some people who put in a lot of time already on this. I was just wondering if you could give us a status update specifically on our partnership with the Board of County Commissioners. I know we participated in an expedited review, and some of our staff spent quite some time on committees, and we submitted some applications for some funds that might be available. Have we heard anything yet about the awarding of those funds?
You are correct. We did have a meeting with the county commissioners a couple weeks ago, and at this point, we have heard that both our physical safety and psychological safety applications were received. We have not heard any further information on what the process of dispersing those funds or awarding those funds will look like.
Thank you. And then one final question. Just as we go forward and you guys start making these action plans, which is very exciting, what can we as a board do to support you? I think you've already kind of heard us saying we're looking forward to seeing how positive change is going to be tracked. But is there anything that we can do to support you right now or in the future with these action plans?
I think initially is when we present those action plans to you, just really be supportive in what these different teams have come up with. Because we do have an incredible amount of expertise, not only from district staff, but also school staff and stakeholder feedback. And all of the feedback that we've gathered is whenever they come up with whatever their action step is and they're needing things, because we know this is not all of these things are gonna be free, if you will, is to help us think outside the box to give our kids what they need. In the meantime, about our strategic plan in general, I would love for you guys to help us go out and spread the word about our plan. It was great we had the launch. It was great we had the community event. Stacy and her team and I are working together to come up with some talking points and presentations. So as you guys go out, much like you did with your board reports, I believe Director Ray mentioned, now we need you to help us go out and share this. We are getting requests from Rotary clubs and all these different organizations that are rooting for us and wanting us to present to their different organizations, and we're spread thin. So that would be my initial ask, is as we finalize that those presentations and materials, to help us go out so we can focus on getting these action plans completed.
Well, I can only speak as one board director, but I'm pretty sure that we all really enjoy being ambassadors for our district, so that sounds great.
Thank you.
Director Lemieux.
Thank you. Excellent. This is clearly on everybody's mind in the district, so I have a couple of pretty specific questions. One of them is about active shooter drills. I've had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Payne about those, but I would like some feedback on the impact to students' mental health and if we allow children to opt out of that. And was our mental wellness team consulted when we started putting together these active shooter drills in our schools?
I'm going to defer to Dr. Tucker or Ted.
Respond, and then I will respond, and sort of give the board and our visitors here and folks who are live streaming sort of a depiction of what that drill looks like. And if a board member has not been a participant in one of those drills, whether it's at the elementary, middle, or high school level, I would certainly ask you to do so.
So our SRP processes in all of our schools follow guidance from the I Love You Guys Foundation that took a very hard look, I think both research and meeting with parents who have been affected by tragedy when they developed their process. Since then, we work closely with Nancy and her team, and in specific instances where we have students that either have been affected by trauma or could be affected by trauma, we not only allow them to opt out, we meet with them ahead of time, we meet with them after, and we make sure that we walk them through that entire process when we're doing the drill. That's obviously happened a little more this fall after the events of last spring, and all students who were affected by that get a personalized touch when we do those drills.
Yeah, and I know USA Today and the Denver Posted local paper did a story on how school districts across the state and the country do their active shooter drills. And I've had the pleasure of being taking part in active shooter drills in 2 states, and actually 3 states, counting Kansas, and in several different school districts. And I can say what we practice here under the auspices of Rich Payne is the most sensitive program that we have, especially when we start to talk about our younger students. Rich Payne and members of law enforcement, whether we're doing the drill with Douglas County sheriffs or the local municipal police departments, they go into the rooms. I'll use South Ridge Elementary as an example, because this is most recently. No guns are drawn. There are conversations with staff, and the administration, the principals, I know we have some principals here, are walking the halls with law enforcement. And it's touching to see Rich Payne and other members of law enforcement stopping, having conversations with children to check on, their state of mind, and assuring them that this is a practice drill and ensuring that they are okay. Any student who has some discomfort, obviously, as Ted stated, there was a conversation with the principal, teacher, and parents are called, but it's not anything traumatic like it's been reported in the media, the print media or the electronic media. I mean, a great deal of compassion is exhibited here in the Douglas County School District. And again, I would invite board members, if you've not participated in one of the drills at the elementary, middle, or high, please do so.
And just as a follow-up to that, then, we also have teachers that are they're traumatized by what's been happening, not only in our district, but in surrounding districts. How are we reaching out to them as well? I say teachers, staff, all
staff.
adult employees as well.
Again, whenever the group goes into a classroom, there's a conversation, always, with the teacher or support staff, and the student, of course. And principals do some follow-up.
Do you feel compelled to add anything to that? Have you been able to attend any of the active shooter drills? Do you mind responding to that as well, please?
Sure. I have not attended recent ones, but I can tell you my own child has. And I got really great feedback. He's a kindergartner, about how he wasn't scared at all. Security and police were so nice, and that he sees them as the good guys, and that, they're ready for anything. And so that was good, because as a parent, you're always worried about, what's my little guy gonna think when they have to do these drills? And that will be a part of our work, is always looking at current practice and research so that we're continually enhancing and refining what we do in that area. Thank you. You're welcome.
If I could please comment. I had an opportunity to participate in almost all of my schools
first round of lockdown drills at the beginning of the year. And to Dr. Tucker's point, as well as Mr. Knight, all of those administrators are very prepared. They're very compassionate before they decide to institute a drill with our district security and local law enforcement. They plan. They talk about kids that need to be kind of on the radar. Who do they need to check in with? What staff do they need to check in to prepare? What options do they have if they're not able to participate? So our administrative teams, our crisis response teams within our schools are very intentional about preparing and planning and supporting staff and students through the process. And when law enforcement comes in or Rich Payne District Security, I mean, it is like, hello, friends, how are you doing today? It's such a soft approach, and it's a very much we practice this kind of thing in school to learn, and today we're practicing this to be safe. And the kids are really, pat on their back, and they're happy, and they feel like they know what to do, and so do our staffs. It's really a great opportunity to really get to see firsthand.
Thank you for indulging me in that question, because I'm seeing it a lot out there, and so I appreciate that feedback. Second, how are we engaging parents regarding trauma-informed and restorative practices? I did just see recently we talked about some restorative practices that we're doing around vaping, and there was a lively discussion online, and I was glad to see that. But is there anything that I could relate to parents regarding specifically those two things beyond just a social media post?
Thank you very much for that question. I know that our prevention teams do many parent and community events. Sometimes it's done by region, and so what we can do is when we have those events coming up, I know our communications department does a nice job promoting those, but we can make a special note to Mrs. Taylor to make sure that you all are aware of some of those opportunities that could focus on trauma and different prevention efforts as far as restorative practices. And then I believe that we'll be able to update you as that action planning moves along with specific strategies and trainings that we may have available that could be extended to our parents.
And my final question is similar. Recommendations for the board to advocate for restorative practices at the state level. Are there any specific CDE reports that harm our ability to properly intervene concerning behaviors and prevention? I know we have to report, and sometimes that seems more like a ding rather than a help. So what could we as a board do to help advocate for restorative practices at the state level?
That's a great question, and I don't know if Mr. Knight has anything to add to my response, but in terms of reporting requirements at the state level, I don't believe that those hinder us in terms of creating our own policies and practices around discipline and embedding restorative practices in our discipline practices.
Yeah. And it also has to be a real conversation about what restorative practices are not. And we have a few people nationwide who think that restorative practices simply mean that we are allowing kids to misbehave and there aren't any consequences to it, and that's just simply not the case. There are consequences to it. We're looking for more creative ways to redirect students without suspending or expelling them, but please know that suspensions and expulsions are sometimes warranted.
Director Chancho Shore.
Well, first, I'd just love to say I could geek out on this and go on for several hours, but I promise you I won't. I just want to congratulate you for continuing to close loops and bring everything right back to the center, which is about instructing and supporting our students. If I look at strategic theme, where you have objective 3, health, safety, social, emotional supports, establish an inclusive culture to ensure all students feel safe and valued, and increase embedded learning opportunities. I would love to stand up on the table and dance, because really that is an extremely important component of positive culture in a school. Many of our schools do a fabulous job of inclusive culture, which we recognized at this meeting, some very inclusive cultures that currently exist. So just looking at those and enhancing them across the district, we already have very, very great opportunities to see how that does work. So thank you for that. Also, thank you for, in your strategic theme, Objective 2, my only question is around Strategic Initiative 2A. It speaks specifically to the implementation of a multi-tiered system of support, which is more intervention support-like than universal language and universal embedded development. I'm assuming that these kinds of opportunities will be spoken to more universally than just directed specifically to MTSS somewhere else.
So we have in our district an MTSS team. We are part of a grant through the Colorado Department of Education for our work within MTSS. And as we implement that framework within our district, we're really looking at the 5 components of MTSS that the state outlines. One of those components is a layered continuum of support, really looking at our evidence-based practice universally at the targeted level and at the intensive level.
So at first best instruction level is going to be addressed probably in curriculum and instruction.
Correct. So within our district, we have 5 domains that we really look at that layered continuum of support within: academic, behavioral, mental health, health and wellness, and behavior. And so those are our 5 domains. So we're really looking at what are we doing first best instruction universally in those areas, what are we doing at the targeted level, and then what are we doing to at the intensive level. So
cool. And the only I promise you I could go on and on because I'm just so excited about the steps that are being taken, and I can't. This is the what, and I'm so excited to see the what, and I cannot wait to see the how. And we know the why, because we want our students to be successful. But the only other thing is I want to add, educators in Douglas County are so tuned in, from my experience as a grandparent most recently, to how students are taking on what's happening in our country and in our society. And I want to take this opportunity to say that I see firsthand in the schools that my grandchildren are in extreme care and extreme caution in how our children are being handled and taken care of when it's related to trauma and trauma-informed care. So although we see that this is in our initiative, a strategic initiative, it's happening in lots and lots of places all the time. So I see firsthand, I saw as a parent, I saw as an educator in Douglas County, but I especially see it now, and I speak to my grandchildren. I want to just make a point of, my grandchildren talk at the dinner table about the drills and whether or not they seemed like they were helpful, informative, silly, and it's interesting to see their perspectives. What's most interesting is how they respond when principals come and talk to them about it, and how they see the principal as the leader of the school and their protector. So I just want to put a way to go principals kind of out there, because even though they might have 2,000 students, one connection that they make in that time matters very specifically to the students that they're serving. And I know they just don't hear that.
And let me just add to that, from tonight on to when we come back and give you updates, as we have a theme identified every month with all of our leaders that we go through from our strategic plan for this current year to give this overview, you're going to see some overlap. And we actually debated about, do we have MTSS and these things called out separately, because it's like the parent involvement question I believe you guys posed to me. Where's the parent involvement? Where's an initiative? It can't live by itself, because then it's on an island. It has to be integrated. So even though we definitely wanted to call it out, we wanted there to be no question that we're going to love and take care of our kids and our staff, you're going to see a lot of these things, even in the action plans when they are finalized, embedded throughout all of the themes, because it's going to be part of our culture of our school. It's part of our growing together in our school. And I just want to make sure that that goes, that doesn't go unsung. It's part of what we do.
Yep.
Sorry, I just kind of have to make this last comment too. Thank you. My very last comment would be, I really hope that if anybody does have specific questions about how their kids are, how this is happening in their schools and how their kids are affected, I think that just going and having a conversation with their principals really matters and makes a big point for them to feel more comfortable, for their kids to feel more comfortable. Because once they go in and have that conversation, you can say anything you want online, anything you want online. And lots of times you can say it without any repercussions or thought. And I really encourage you, if you have a concern, if you have a wondering, if you don't know what's happening, online isn't the place to find out. But the place to find out is go to your school, ask the questions, participate, ask when you can be there. Everyone's going to be happy to have you be a part of wondering what's happening in your school, especially around safety.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So just know, check out our podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, because we just released one, and we'll release one every week, and every other week we'll have a mental health SEL focus.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, team out there. We appreciate your work. Thank you all. Yep, Dr.
Okay,
Tucker.
Circling back around to site, before I do that, Marlene and her folks mentioned the strategic themes so that they are deeply embedded in our district. They are topics at each of our DLT meetings when all of our administrators come together monthly. And the multi-tiered support system, you're right, has to be embedded in everything that we do. And again, how the board can help us continue to communicate to our school community how important it is at every building. I know Director Chancho Shore was getting at that, but it has to be a top priority at every one of our buildings here in the district as a part of our school community, not just at certain buildings. Now, I'm glad we had an opportunity to come back again to our continuous improvement teacher effectiveness model. And I'm going to ask Mr. Reynolds to come up and talk a little bit about this. We have great staff folks here, a lot of expertise here, but this is another example when we're tackling really important things where we do get some outside perspective, some outside expertise. So we're working with Hanover Research, was an outstanding, well-respected research organization that's good at helping us gather data, do analytics, and so forth. They have a K-12 division, and we're working with them to launch this survey that's designed to get feedback from all of our staff, all job titles, responsibilities regarding evaluation. So I'll ask Matt to take it from there.
Thank you very much. We're really excited about this. It actually launched today. Happy to report that as of this afternoon, we had no bounce backs in terms of the survey results, so everything's going fine. This is an opportunity for us to gather feedback regarding the site evaluation rubrics themselves. As you may recall, our District Accountability Committee actually serves as our Education Evaluation Council. And so in that capacity, they often get information about how to improve the fairness, the quality, and those types of things of our evaluation system. And then they come forth to all of you to make a recommendation every spring, specifically about the rubrics. And I know several of you serve on that committee, which could probably fill in some of the blanks that I may leave off here. But they come forward with some recommendations regarding changes to our evaluation rubrics. This is an opportunity for us to gather information from those folks who not only are being evaluated on that rubrics, but also the evaluators themselves to find out, is this rubric, is it working? Is it meaningful? And we want to get firsthand from those folks that are directly impacted by this rubric, and then take it back and make recommendations for revisions. So we're really excited about that.
And all licensed staff.
Yes, absolutely.
Director Lemieux.
Thank you. That is excellent. As most of us know here, we developed our own evaluation system. And what has come up in conversations is that not everybody knows the state had a free system for us to use. And because of what was happening a few years back, Douglas County chose not to use the state system. Rather, they spent quite a bit of money developing this system. When we are surveying, are we giving them the opportunity to see what the state evaluation system looks like so they can have a choice in that? Or are we only sharing the evaluation system that we developed?
A fantastic question. Currently, we're focused on the rubrics that they currently have in place, which is ones that have been approved by you all and are currently being in our evaluation system. So we're asking specific questions regarding that evaluation rubric. However, with that being said, the information that we do glean from this survey can be used to look at things that are outside of our own evaluation system. That's something that could be brought forth to the Evaluation Council, which is our DAC, which could make a recommendation to you all regarding the evaluation system that we have as a whole.
Which leads me to the money question. We're still using Inspired. How much is that costing us in comparison with other systems? Because again, that is also something that we developed. And I know there are portions of Inspired that we're not using anymore, but they're still embedded in Inspired. How are we updating that, and how much are we spending on that?
That's a great question. I guess I can turn to my colleagues, both Scott and Gautam, for an answer on that one.
Hi there. On the Inspired support, we stopped using the consultants about 2 budget cycles ago. So all of our development and support is by internal resources. But the system is used across multiple aspects, including professional development, training, and for site and lead evaluation. So there's resources embedded from within the district which support multiple tools, and it's not necessarily a straight line item in our budget as used to be historically.
Yeah, so as you're updating Inspired, are you removing any of the features that are no longer necessary, i.e. like at one point we were making all of our teachers upload their lesson plans, and are we still doing that, or are we tweaking Inspired to work better for our teachers?
Actually, it's a little bit of both, tweaking it to work better and also to remove those things that may be part of a past vision. So those things are being updated, so you're seeing the removal of certain aspects within the system that reflected the previous vision. And moving forward, we look forward to aligning whatever system we have with the new strategic plan.
Go ahead.
Okay, because you know me, I'm all about the money, and I only have a few more times I can ask these questions. The workday system, what kind of problems are we still seeing with that, and what are we still paying on that, or is that coming up later?
I'm going to hold you off on that one because that's a completely different system beyond what we're talking about with site. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Then
I'm
I'll
going to hold you
ask
off
that
on
later.
that.
Thank you.
Director Long?
Hey, again, thank you very much. This is a great initiative. I would like to know what is this site focus group? I think many people have been asking me about that. Is this a board committee? Is it a superintendent's committee? How can you be the member of that? How do we know this committee, or this focus group representing, truly representing, you know, our staff and their collective opinions? Do the member has term? Is the meeting open? Can you just show some lights about this focus group?
Absolutely. So this focus group is literally a focus group. So it's not a board committee, it's not a superintendent's committee. It's a focus group where they have a focused job to do, where we bring them something that they have to get accomplished. So for example, last year we had new counselors coming into our system and we had an old evaluation rubric that was assigned for counselors. Old philosophy, and it was prior to all of these new counselors coming in. So we directly engaged counselors in that process along with other members of this team to create a rubric that was more aligned to what the expectations were for counselors, specifically introducing these ones at the elementary level. They did that work in conjunction with our Director of Educator Effectiveness and brought those recommendations directly back to the District Accountability Committee, and those recommendations came to you all in the final form of a rubric. This committee has been a very fluid committee. We've got some members that have been with us since inception. We have some that just come along each year. We have a dedicated website, which I can share with you to give you the list of all the people that are part of this. It's something that it is a working group. And so one of the commitments that we want from those folks that are part of this is to commit to the work of joining us once a month to really dive into the work. And it's really open. It's an open committee. Anybody can come. We've had community members come in the past. As you may recall, the District Accountability Committee, those folks from that committee used to join and sit in on those. I don't know if you guys recall that at all, but that was something that they're open meetings that we have for people to come and join us. And it is an open invite for people to come in and really do the work. And so we have all that information available on a website.
Yeah, and we also have the expertise of Hanover. It's been around a little less than 20 years to help guide us in the process to ensure that we are taking a critical look at, what is occurring or what we're trying to achieve. So again, it's not just in-house, and I want our folks to know that, again, we have really, really talented people here. We use that talent when necessary, but we're not afraid to look beyond our borders to help us get the best results by working with a consultant or a group like Hanover that's been doing this stuff for nearly 20 years and works with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of schools across this country.
Again, I know, we did wonderful jobs on this, and the district has been really transparent and about all these working groups and things like that. And I'm so glad you mentioned that there's a website for this, because not many people knows about that, and there is information that people can find out about this focus group and this member. And I think our district has a lot of wonderful things going on, and I'm always very excited about that. But sometimes some of these best kept secrets that people don't know about, example, this focus group. So if we could let this information out more to our staff, so I think it will quiet down a little bit of the concern that that they don't know who they can talk to or where they can go to express the opinions. As Dr. Lemieux mentioned, that we have our own evaluation system, and this group, in a large degree, have a lot of say on this evaluation system. And so some people are obviously nervous about what is in there and how they can make some input. So again, appreciate your efforts and having this group, so that that's impossible to get every single person there. And of course, a focus group can narrowly define something, and then we can give it to a larger committee to look at that. And I appreciate that you're willing to share those informations. And so people who like to go, they can go and participate. And as you said, there's a there's a full committee, so people can go in, and if they wanted to give you, the input. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Long. Thank you. Mr. Reynolds?
Absolutely, and a couple of things. If anyone ever has questions about the site focus groups or the lead focus group, they can reach out directly to myself or Dr. Deanne Kirby, who's in charge of that. And also, I would just like to encourage all to participate in the survey. We're really excited about reaching directly out to those folks that are impacted by the evaluation process, and this is a great opportunity for us to gather some really great data. So, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Board of Education reports. I'll start real briefly because I'm trying to set a record. We have a reminder that the Superintendent Tucker is hosting the partnership with Douglas County Governments for breakfast Monday morning, bright and early at 7:30. Our agenda planning meeting for our October 22nd meeting is Friday, October 11th at 11 a.m. I believe that's the time it is. One of the things that we need to keep in mind is we're going through this policy revision process, and we're up. What we have up next is our G policies, and my understanding is that the CASB group that's working on that is very short-staffed, so our timeline in this whole process has been pushed back a little bit. And then I also think that I wanted to share that our October 22nd meeting, we're going to have an update, I believe, on parent engagement. I think that's correct. And that is all I have. So, Director Chancho Shore? You go right ahead. You were at the last DAC meeting. We have one on Tuesday coming up. So we've already reported on the
We've
last
already
one.
reported
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Okay, Director Lemieux?
Yeah, so we have FOC coming up. So I think we're good there. I think they're in the middle of looking for some new members. Right now, we're at the minimum we can have at 9. We'd like to get up to 15 because they've got some important work we're asking them to do. I do want some follow-up, or I would ask that we maybe consider asking for some follow-up on some costs regarding storage, uploading data. Do we still have a place where we're storing? Because at one point, because we were uploading quite a bit of information from teachers, do we even still need that storage, and how much is that costing us? So I think that's one of those things. We're looking at ways we can save money so we can spend it on the strategic plan. So I think that's one of those areas we can look at. And then also maybe an update on how we're securing our data, who we're paying to do that, and how much that's costing. I'd also like an update on our banking. Banking. Some folks have asked, how often do we update an RFP or go out for another RFP and do some cost comparisons? And if some banks can offer some services, can we expect that of the bank we're using now? So, I do that with Comcast. I think we should do that with our bank. I get free HBO. But anyway, so I really do. I think that's time. A couple of different folks have asked me about that. Who do we use, and including someone on the FOC. So those are a couple of things I'd like to just put out in the universe before we move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Director Holtzman?
So I'll try to be brief, but I do have 3 things I need to talk about. RIMSL, as your representative to RIMSL, I wanted to let you all know that you're missing out on another comprehensive policy review. We have just started one at RIMSL, and I'm looking forward to bringing some of what I've learned doing it here to RIMSL. As your CASB representative, as CASB begins to prepare for another state legislative session, right now there's an interim finance committee that continues to work, and we are monitoring what's happening there, and I'll be working and asking for the assistance of Dr. Tucker and our Chief Financial Officer, Smith, to review and provide information to the board and in ways that we can all advocate for proposed financial changes that will support our students, specifically in that interim committee and in any proposed financial legislation or anything upcoming that we could share information with our community about ways that they can support our schools financially. I'll be working with Dr. Tucker to make sure we get that information out to our parents and our community. And then finally, LRPC, we have another meeting tomorrow. And as you know, they've been an integral part of cataloging the capital needs of our district. Most recently, they celebrated with all of us after we passed the bond and MLO, because they are extremely aware of the things that money can do for us and is already doing as we're working to maintain and strengthen security in our schools. One, we're hoping to get a piece of hopeful good news tomorrow at LRPC, because you I'm sure remember that as a part of our bond, the community supported the construction of a new Parker Alternative School and Career and Technical Education Innovation Campus, similar to what we're participating in Castle Rock. So we're very excited about this. The LRPC has been involved in looking at that need and meeting that need for some years. So excited that the bond passed and that the community was in support of this facility. So back on August 20th, you might remember that our board passed a resolution which basically put into writing an agreement that we have with our county to work together to receive a 2-acre parcel from them that's it's adjacent to this Parker site that we already own. And that's been in the plans for many years. This 2-acre site that the county has is, my understanding, not usable for anything else, but could really help us out with traffic, which would be beneficial to our students and our whole community. So unfortunately, we passed the resolution August 20th. We're still waiting for that 2 acres, and construction is currently delayed as we wait for that. So I'm really hoping that by tomorrow night, our staff and the county staff has worked out the conveyance of that 2 acres. And I think that that's all. I really, I'm looking forward to that because that provides choices for our students that our community wants and potential employees for our business partners once that facility is up and going. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Holtzman. I would add to that not only would the 2-acre parcel of land help us, but my understanding is not able to build that building without the 2-acre site that we need to purchase from the county. And that's a pretty critical piece of information. Director Long.
Well, I had the opportunity of stepping in for Director Long and President Ray for the Student Advisory Group meeting last week, and that was probably the most fun I've had attending an advisory group meeting, just because just the energy with the kids and the opportunities and things that they covered. So Greenway Strategies was actually there, and they did a detailed questionnaire about some of the things we've been talking about with the strategic plan. So they spent a lot of time talking with them. They also broke out into different work groups that you heard Jay earlier mention that they have identified as the most critical items for them going forward this year. So it was just and it was a huge turnout. There were probably like, I don't know, 80 or 90 kids there. So it was really exciting. So kudos to that group and all the work that they've been doing.
Awesome. Director Long.
Well, for the parent engagement part, and I think our wonderful staff, I would have to thank, Matt, Stacy, make a great regional SAC training, and we have a huge attendance in all 3, regions. And for Nancy's special ed department, she also have parent engagement special education's training. So we are moving in the right directions of rebuilding the SAC in all of our school to make sure that they're well functioned. And also we are taking care of our special education's parents lead to give them more training on that. For that, I want to thank the staff, for doing a wonderful job in parent engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Long. Okay, board, meeting evaluation? Yay! Okay, and since I am chairing this meeting and I can't make any motions, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Okay, a motion by Graziano, second by Long. Chancho Shore? Aye. Graziano?
Aye.
Holtzman?
Aye.
Lemieux?
Aye.
Long?
Aye.
Vogel? Aye.
Can we take a
Thank you all.
and send it to President Ray?